This is the 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander, and today I'm going to talk about why you should pick this over the new Nissan Rogue. Yes, the Nissan Rogue is great. I've done tons of comparisons. I've had it for over 2-3 weeks. I've done snow tests as well. Fantastic vehicle, and it has won a lot of awards, especially in Canada, until this came out. And I'm going to tell you why I think the Mitsubishi Outlander is slightly better than the Nissan Rogue. So maybe if you bought a Rogue, you might be disappointed. The first thing we're going to talk about is the exterior design, and that is of course a subjective view, because I could like this and you might not like it. I think this looks nice. The front end not so much. The rear end resembles a little bit the Nissan Rogue, but the front end is completely different. And most importantly, the grille in here, which actually is attached to the hood. So when you try to open the hood, it comes up with the actual hood. The front end, you might have your own questions. To me, this kind of looks like a Santa Fe and a Palisade mixed together. Why do I say that? Well, because of the massive headlights in the front and this part over here. It's very much like a Santa Fe to me. That kind of similar design. But they've done a great job overall. I think it looks nice. It will grow on you. Maybe you don't like it right now, but with time, it will grow on you. Every car that gets a new design, some people don't like them and some people do. I think this looks nice. It looks bigger than a Nissan Rogue. It's quite impressive what they've done. But keep in mind that the Nissan brand and Mitsubishi are technically within the same company. So you're going to see a lot of things in the Nissan Rogue imported into the new Mitsubishi Outlander. So that's something to keep in mind. There's a lot of things that are very similar. And the first thing is, of course, the engine. You see, the engine in here is technically exactly the same as the Nissan Rogue. It makes 181 horsepower. It's the same engine underneath. The difference is that the CVT used in here, the transmission, is different from the one that they call in the Nissan Rogue, which is Xtronic CVT. And also, this is a four-wheel drive. Meanwhile, the Nissan Rogue, it's an all-wheel drive. When it comes to off-roads, generally, four-wheel drives are slightly better than all-wheel drives. And that has to do with the power delivery to the wheels. I won't go into detail and bore you, but it is known as a fact that four-wheel drive is slightly better than all-wheel drive system. So in the actual Mitsubishi Outlander, the 22 model, you get a four-wheel drive. In the Nissan Rogue, you get an all-wheel drive. And you can also look carefully on how they have marketed this thing here as an off-roader as well. Even the actual driving modes, it has multiple ways. It has multiple driving modes, and it actually shows you in the cluster the different driving modes with the different layout, which I very much appreciate. That it gives a really nice touch and a bit of a premium feeling inside. But again, the engine remains very much the same. 181 horsepower in here, 181 horsepower in the Nissan Rogue. But let's keep in mind something, that the previous generation Outlander was actually a plug-in hybrid. I had the opportunity to test drive one, and it was quite impressive. Now, we don't know yet, but I'm assuming because that sold quite a lot of models, I think Mitsubishi will bring something like that with this generation. And that's something that Nissan hasn't promised yet about the Rogue. So we know this could be the better option if you're looking for plug-in hybrids, which are quite impressive and very fuel efficient. It also has a crazy warranty compared to the Nissan Rogue as well. So that's something to keep in mind, which technically makes this the better choice. The Mitsubishi Outlander is technically longer, higher, and wider, but the wheelbase is exactly the same for both vehicles. Where the Nissan Rogue wins is mostly when it comes to trunk space behind the second row. And that's a very good option on the Nissan Rogue. The problem is that, you see, the Mitsubishi here offers a third row. Yes, it's useful for kids, but it's not useful for adults. So that's something that the Nissan Rogue doesn't offer, and something they failed to, because it would have made that car very competitive. But keep in mind that this will cost you slightly more compared to the Nissan Rogue, which kind of justifies that extra seat. So they've actually positioned both cars very well. So if you want a third row, you go for this. If you don't want that, then you have the Nissan Rogue. So they're technically not competing against each other, but one offers a bit more space, the other one offers a third row. So they've managed to make them competitive, but not the same. Now, in terms of technology, both have similar options. Kick option in here. You kick underneath, it opens up. It's the same thing in the Nissan Rogue. The only difference that you see in here, what they have done, which I absolutely love, that they have hidden the third row headrest, so it doesn't stay at the top, and it also gives you more space, and you can also lay them down. Again, the third row, in my opinion, is only for kids or pets. Other than that, it's very useless. And if you want to fold the second row, you have this lever located here. Just pull the flap there, and it will fold the second row, because it's technically quite long to reach all the way. But you also get the option on top of the seat in the second row to fold the second row from here. But in case if the third row is up and you want to fold the second row, you can do it straight from there. Great technology. And you can also lock the vehicle in the tailgate with this button located in there. Now let's talk about the interior. Overall, the Mitsubishi Outlander will give you more room. The only difference is that the Nissan Rogue gives you more headroom in the front and more headroom in the back. One thing I noticed with the second row in the back is just slightly uncomfortable with the Mitsubishi Outlander for someone my height. I'm 6'2". But in the Mitsubishi Outlander, you can actually slide the seats back and forth in the second row because of that third row, so that it gives more space to the third row passengers. A very good feature to have, especially when you have a third row. Now, here's what I love about the Mitsubishi Outlander overall, the interior. Although you will find many things very, very similar to the Nissan Rogue, including the climate unit, the heated seats. Both are missing the ventilated seats, and most importantly, both have the exact same infotainment display and the same size as well. The cluster is very much the same. The difference in the cluster is that the layout in here is slightly different. They both have a heads-up display as well. Both have a panoramic roof. The interior is exactly the same. In the Mitsubishi Outlander, you get a bit more different driving modes and a different, of course, user interface for the cluster and the driving modes. You're still getting the same annoying shift knob as the actual Rogue, so things there remain the same. You get a wireless Android Auto and a wireless CarPlay. You have a wireless charging pad in here, so things in terms of technology very much the same. But what I do love about the Outlander is the interior, and that is the first thing I noticed when I got inside the Outlander. It's how nicer it feels inside, how much nicer it feels in terms of the seats. The seats are nice and comfortable, and it has a different presence. When you get inside, you feel that premium experience compared into the Nissan Rogue. In my opinion, overall inside, this feels much better. It has a different feeling, a different experience once you jump into the car. In the Nissan Rogue, it feels okay, but it doesn't feel as premium in here. If you get a chance, go and test drive them head to head and let me know what you think about it, because I'm not the only one that said the same thing. Even my wife, that shares these cars with me quite a lot, she said the exact same thing. It feels much nicer in here than it did in the Nissan Rogue, and they've done a great job from Mitsubishi to sort of make this different compared to the Nissan Rogue, because everything else remains very much the same. I mean, even the steering wheel, the buttons are pretty much exactly the same. So things in there remain quite very similar, I'd say. It's just the way the layout inside the actual Mitsubishi Outlander. So as you can see from the video, here's one of the Nissan Rogue. You can tell the difference. You can see the nice, beautiful display and all that. Now here's one of the Mitsubishi Outlander. You can tell that difference right away. Maybe it's the colors inside that make that difference, but I think even the leather, the door panels are nice. The actual seats, the seats are one thing that I love absolutely about this. But everything else, you're gonna find all the tech features. So the Mitsubishi Outlander overall has received a new interior compared to the previous generation. It has a beautiful digital cluster now. It has a beautiful instrument cluster, very responsive, built-in navigation system. You have a 360 camera as well, similar to the Nissan Rogue. So if you've ever watched a Nissan Rogue video, everything you see in there, you're gonna find in here. Even the audio system is provided by Bose. Beautiful audio system. I've also done a comparison against the Toyota RAV4, so if you wanna watch that video, the link will be in the description box as well, or maybe hasn't been posted yet. But that's something to keep in mind if you wanna watch a comparison between the two. The video today is to talk about the new Mitsubishi Outlander and how does it compare to the Nissan Rogue, which is technically part of the same family, and a lot of people are searching for it. So that's something to keep in mind. And I've reviewed the Nissan Rogue multiple times. I've done tons of reviews, single compared to the old one. This is a bit different, and I think I like this overall in the interior. The next question is, how do they drive? And that's where it gets a bit tricky. Here's the thing, that all-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive changes things a little bit, even though transmission-wise they should be the same, even though Nissan puts a different name on it. It's still a CVT. The engine is pretty much the same. They change a little bit, and here's why. First is the driving experience. In here, it feels so much nicer, and it's even weird to say that because it's the same engine, it's the same thing. But this just feels so much more put together compared to the Nissan Rogue. And that's the first thing I noticed when I picked this up. And I was talking to my wife about it. I said, this feels very much different. And she agrees with it. She said the same. It felt very much different compared to the Nissan Rogue. And I think they've done a great job with that to make this very different. It feels very soft, very nice inside, and it also feels much more quiet compared to the Nissan Rogue. That's one thing I noticed right away. It feels very, very quiet. Now, you're going to say, how do you know that? Well, I know that because I can actually hear it and feel it, and I've driven both vehicles multiple times. I drive so many cars that right now it has become so normal for me to distinguish the cabin noise right away. Unless it's like a very minimal, but when I jump from one car to the other, my hearing, it's so good right now. And there's also a protest. The dump trucks are protesting in Ontario today. As you can see, they're blocking traffic, but at least they're leaving one lane, so I respect that. They're protesting but not causing massive traffic. I very much respect that. But it's still traffic, that's for sure. You can tell. Anyways, let's not jump into a different topic. But what I'm trying to say is that to me, the Nissan Rogue felt not as put together compared to this. It's still an amazing vehicle, still very good on the road. We did a snow test, it did very well as well. But I noticed that right away. In terms of the driver assistance, both offer the exact same thing. It's very smart. The new generation pilot assist option. It can read the speed signs as well. It will follow the speed limit. If it figures out that he went from 100 to 80, it will slow down the vehicle to keep that kind of speed without jeopardizing the speed limit. That's something that this offers, a full cruise control. It will keep you within the lanes. It's exactly the same as you'd find in a Nissan Rogue. I don't see this any different. Even the layout, the only difference is that icon changes how it looks in here. It's a Mitsubishi, meanwhile, and Nissan is of course the Nissan. They change the user interface, but things don't change a lot. The heads-up display very much the same as the Nissan Rogue. You kind of feel like you're inside a Nissan Rogue in here. Visibility, it's pretty much the same. The only difference is that the third row in here has a slightly bigger window, and the reason is very simple, because you're going to have people sitting in the third row. I'm assuming not adults, I'm assuming kids, which explains that. I think overall the Mitsubishi Outlander is slightly better, actually better than the Nissan Rogue. It's hard to say that, but if you get to drive them, you will agree with me 100%, unless you just don't know how to pay attention to things. Because the difference between this and that, I think this is just drives better, feels more premium inside when you get an interior, even though technically everything gets shared between the two platforms. So it's weird to say that, but trust me, when you get inside, there's a different type of culture here. I was reading online that Mitsubishi uses this sort of style, this Japanese style, to make this a very welcoming, I forgot the name what it was, but they use a specific style to make the experience different here. And it's something that was part of the Japanese culture, which I think that's where the difference starts. It's how the layout in here is designed. Everything in here looks so much nicer. It's put together well. It's not too much. There is only one complaint I have, is the gear knob, the shift knob in here. It's so freaking annoying, and I hate that they imported that one from the Nissan Rogue. They could have just done a standard shift knob. They didn't do it, and that's the disappointing part. See, right now it picked up that it's 100, and it's picking up the speed. It was from 80, now it's going to 100, so it's following that speed limit. I think if you get to experience both cars, you will agree with me that this feels better than the Rogue. Maybe you don't like the exterior. I totally understand that. I think the Rogue could appeal to more people than this. It has its own weird design. The front end has that massive grille that you might not like it. I follow you. I see you. I hear you, and I understand that. I think this will be a bit difficult for people to choose that because of that design. Some people will not like those massive headlights in the front. I got used to it from the Palisade because the Palisade has huge front headlights similar to the new Santa Fe. It's kind of that design. It's weird to say that Mitsubishi could have probably taken some inspiration from there. I could be wrong, but to me that's what it looks like. But overall, if I had to pick between this and the actual Rogue, I'd say this would be my choice, especially that third row is a huge help. If you have kids or pets, it will help you a lot. With that in mind, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to watch my comparison against the Toyota RAV4, and you can find that comparison in a link below, or maybe it hasn't been uploaded yet, but it will be there soon. Or just subscribe and you'll find out. With that in mind, stay safe. Cheers.